Sunday, the 25th of February, 2018. And I just like to start by getting rid of a few of these big papers. So this time is, for those of us who remember, this is around Tet Offensive time, 1968. 68 was a big year. Rebellion, Vietnam War, Prague, Spring, Czechoslovakia, 68, Paris uprising, not only to mention here, they might even have the Arusha, no, that was the Arusha Declaration, it might have been 68. But a lot of things happened in 68. Kennedy was killed. The movement was, that was the last big year for long hot summers, as they used to call them. It was a big year for us also. It was a big gangster year too. So 68 was an all-around big year. This is a 50-year anniversary, and that's what they have this Vietnam thing here. You know, 50 years, just a little 50 years. The Tet Offensive might have been March 6th, I don't remember exactly, but it was this time of the year. Sheriffs investigate claim that more deputies were outside doing massacre. You know, they got the one guy that was a school guy, then
The black guy.
was he black guy or was he white guy?
No, this guy was black.
The one I saw was white.
Yeah, the one I saw was
I
white.
saw a guy that was black.
I heard it was 4 of them outside or somewhere in the school.
Okay.
and
The
they
one,
didn't
the
go
one they
inside.
put on, the one they put on Front Street.
No, the one that they put on the white folks television, I mean, they all white. That was in the meeting last, you might have saw him in a meeting a few months ago. He was white.
Okay.
They had others though. Now, this is the one, sheriff's investigates claim that more deputies were outside doing massacre. Okay. Now, remember we talk about embezzling and stealing all the time? If you steal a little bit, say you work for a company and you steal $100 a week, they ain't gonna miss it. Then you said, they didn't miss that. You wait a while for the shoe to fall. Then you steal $500 a week. Oh my goodness. You done got away with that. You don't stop there. If you stopped at 500, you could probably cover it, it'd be fine. And it would upgrade your, you know, your little living style. It'd be a big help. But no, they didn't miss that, so now I'm gonna get 5,000. They didn't miss that, now 10,000. That's what happened to that black woman that was in her crew. There was $16 million into the, about 20 years ago, about 17, 18 years ago. Remember the woman that had fur coats, diamond rings?
He's the one that's driving a Bentley and bought a Bentley for a brother also.
Downtown, right downtown in DC. Because they couldn't keep records straight. Well, everybody was stealing, so, and I assume that's the way she started. Just taking a little money. Then, man, they ain't missed nothing. Okay, same thing with these school killings, with the school killings and all of that stuff. They do the first ones. So the first one, the first World Trade Center was so loose that anybody could figure it out, but nobody did anything. Second World Trade Center was really bad. I mean, it had closing down the airspaces. Nobody could do that but the federal government, you know. Still, nobody did nothing. 28 pages of Saudi Arabia. Everybody can do anything they want and nobody cares. So, they keep doing it. They have Columbine, they have this, that, and nothing. Nobody catches on. They shoot all the poor little kids. I mean, these are little kids, kindergartners and stuff up there, right? And the guys said, they say he's a loner, he's a this, that, and other. He had contact with the police. Nobody connects nothing except the so-called conspiracy theories. So this job here, by this time they just got loose. Because no matter what happened, this is not coordinated. The guy that they had 11 calls to the house. They didn't came out there. They got police up hanging outside smoking cigars and drinking coffee while the kids is getting blown away. Well, I'm exaggerating a little. But they all out there. And there's one guard, he's there. He see the guy. He right almost where they put it, he's right up on him. And he had said in the meeting that I have 30 years in, I'm getting close to retirement, and we're going to do our job. But that's probably what he was thinking about at the time. Hey man, I'm going to retire next. Whatever it was, the calls to the FBI, and they don't do nothing, right? Whatever it was, it's shenanigans. Now, they keep following this up, they're going to get somewhere. So here comes, which one is it? Conspiracy theories, long dark history. Carling Parkland students of crisis actors is a tactic to discredit.
Right.
Okay, this is, we know this is to give them something that sounds good, but it's not true. And they got the boy, little boy, and his FBI daddy there to invalidate this. They thought if they invalidated this is a common tactic. On 911, they had people coming up with a lot of stuff. And if you bit into it and if you sold that stuff to other people, like deep research, they already had the people there to counter it because they got the antidote for it because they put it out. That's what this is. They put this out. The FBI does this, right? And then they're able to recount it. And I was watching on CNN. That's horrible. You're a real FBI agent? Yes, I am. You're a real son? Yes, I am. And you're not an actor? Da, 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 da. It's going to backfire. They're going to work. They went too far. We don't have to worry about them. They're going to check it down. And I looked at the white folks, boy, they got rednecks for Patriot Redneck Organization. They call it redneck, you ever see? They call themselves rednecks for something, resistance. They are the ones that so-called, probably police, they came out of the Patriot movement. They're pro-black, pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-immigration. They're the nicest people you ever seen. And that's the name of their organization, Rednecks Resistance. They are former Patriot militia guys who bit the love bug. The love bug got them, and they just as nice as people you ever seen, which is fine. Okay, it don't make us no difference, but I'm just saying. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, and remember, the memory of the people is so short, man. Okay. So now, let's go into, okay, we'll just start here with where we're coming from. Art lover, who preached revolution. Y'all remember Alan Locke? The New Negro.
Yeah.
Yeah, the New Negro. Okay, let me just read here a little bit about him. Now, he was sweet as candy and all that, but that's no big deal. See, we're not looking for all the revolutionaries have flaws. You know, Marcus Garvey had a flaw that he just hadn't been up on the psychological games of the system. But as a mobilizer or organizer to get people juiced up, he did a good job. But you couldn't expect him to be any farther than that in 1917, 18, up to about 1922 or 23. You couldn't, he was rolling for that time. Okay. Alan Leroy Locke's drive to revolutionize black culture was fueled in no small part by the sense of self-importance. When a man has something to be conceited over, he wrote, I call it self-respect. Unlike many of his colleagues and rivals in the black freedom struggle of the early 19th or the early 20th century, Locke, a trailblazer of the Harlem Renaissance, believed that art and great migration, not political protests, were the key to black progress. Black Americans would only forge a new, authentic sense of themselves, he argued, by pursuing artistic excellence and insisting on physical mobility. Psychological devolution to self-determination would transcend white racism and render stereotypes of black people obsolete. As Locke wrote in his draft of The New Negro, his seminal 1925 essay, the question is no longer what whites think of the Negro, but what the Negro wants to do and what price he is willing to pay to do it. So he had a lot of faults, you know. The New Negro, it was big. It is as big or bigger than what was Carter G. Woodson, the Miseducated Negro, stuff like that. Now, this guy is technically a revolutionary. You can tell by what he's saying in 1925. Instead of jumping up and down in political protests, propaganda, and all that, the most important thing is what you think about yourself, not what the white man think about yourself in his psychology. Basically, he's saying, bump them. It's what you think about yourself, where you want to go, and how much you're willing to pay to get there. That was his main idea, and that was part of his ideas and book. In Locke's vision, publicly lauded black leadership was inhibited by its obsession with politics, protests, and propaganda. In Stewart's words, Locke believed that the function of literature, art, and theater, and so on, was to complete the progress of self-integration. I hadn't heard about that before. Integrate with yourself. In other words, remember in psychology we studied about internals and externals? Externals are people who think the test I failed because they rigged the test against black people. You know what I mean? I couldn't run as fast because the white people had B.F. Goodrich shoes and we had some other shoes, right? Now, it don't mean that you're wrong, but it's always they, them, and that, the outer world. exterior is what stopped everything, not interior. So, self-integration, and produce a black subjectivity that could become the agent of a cultural and social revolution in America. Locke turned his belief into action during the Harlem Renaissance when he developed his theory of the new Negro, which became popular among black thought leaders. Locke's version was distinguished by his ideas about migration, modernity, and the city. Y'all probably don't remember the song, Bright Lights, Big City, went to my baby sing, Bright Lights, Big City, that was Jimmy Reed out there. Went to my baby's head. Well, if you was born in the country like we was, bright lights, electric lights was a big deal. Because most people didn't have electric lights. Big city. In the country, in the summertime, when a car is driving around the road, there's a big plume of smoke. I mean, a big plume of dust behind it. Because it's a dusty country road. Okay? In the winter, a lot of the cars and trucks used to have winches on the front. And you'd carry a shovel and stuff in the car because you had to throw it under the tire. Because in the winter, it looked like the driveway out there. Mud tracks and everything. You got stuck all the time in the winter. But don't talk about the snow. When you came here to the city, when you walk in any building, you just flip a switch and the lights come on, scare you to death. Good God Almighty. And you want to go somewhere, you just stand out there at the stop and give the people a nickel, and you get on the bus. Not that you done rode on a lot of buses in the country. In fact, you may have never ridden on a... White kids had school buses, but Negroes generally walked to school. When they tell you about we walked 5 miles to school, that could be almost true. 2-3 miles at least. Yeah, there's a ways. So he believed in migration. Now remember, this is at the first great Negro migration. 1910, 1915, early 1900s, up until the 1930s, and after that, the great migrations during the war years to the west and to the north. So he believed in those ideas, in self-image psychology. Forget about his idea was clear. The New Negro was a big book. You don't hear as much about the New Negro as the miseducation of the Negro, although they're both there to stimulate black people to become more. The idea behind his Harlem Renaissance book in 1925 is forget about what they think. To hell with them white folks. It's what and you notice people thought he was kind of conceited. He said, if you did enough to feel conceited, I call it self-importance. So you feel, you know how important that would be in 1920s. That's big. So, but that don't mean he had the whole solution. In fact, when we study a lot of our people, we find that very few of them had the whole solution. Even our dear Frederick Douglass, you know, not that he wound up marrying a white lady, which is fine. And the U.S. Marshal of D.C., they said he was the most highest paid man in the government during this time. And he was the Marshal of this whole D.C. Now, we don't criticize him. You know why? Because he started getting big in 1840s as a runaway slave and an abolitionist. So just for him to run away from slavery, that's a big deal. You can say you didn't take the right road, you didn't take the Underground Railroad, you didn't do this. You know what I mean? You can criticize him. And you wanted black people to fight in a war of liberation or something. Well, the white man right down in Virginia and all the rest of them call it the War of Aggression, the Great War of Aggression. The Civil War was not no Civil War. This is a war of northern aggression. What they thought it was, they still think mostly the same thing. Anyway, what we're getting at is different messages, different looks, different times, and a volcanic valley helps power Kenya. They got secret law. In fact, out in Serengeti, which is Kenya and Tanzania, just like you would see on Tarzan, them thousands of animals, they really it's like that. They have some great craters right near Kilimanjaro's Norodata crater. It's not as big as Ngorongoro crater, but it's, and down in that crater, just all animals, monkeys, lions, they just all, and it ain't, it's only dangerous when somebody want to eat one of the others, but it ain't no big deal. They just go on eat and they keep on. It's just, so, what's so, I wrote up here, mashallah, and I'll get to why, mashallah, that's the way it happened. And I put neo-colonialism. You know, it was a time when all of us that went to Africa was very sad. Oh, I mean, we was in love with the environment, the country, and sometime just in the evening at dusk, you'd see all the African women in their bright colored cloths and everything, walking in a group and singing. Hey man, it would just knock you out, almost dead or something. And the Negroes, look here, in Tanzania, they call it, the Indians call it ganji, the African call it bangi. It was marijuana. When I smoked it over there, I set it aside. I said, it's the baddest weed I've seen in my life. I mean, you know, maybe it was the tropics, but I mean, I'm bred in Mexico, I'm a marijuana dealer. And all the black nationalist brothers, imagine you out on the beach and the powder, that white powder, is your feet sink down in it. And all